Next, I'd like to invite Alix Meyer, chairman and co-founder of Free Now Foundation, which defends medical freedom in California, for the Meyer Medical Liberty Moment.
Thank you so much, Dave. Hey, everybody. So, measles has been in the news, right? How many people had measles when they were younger? Raise your hand. Whoa! And you lived? Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I'm going to be talking about the measles quagmire that we have vaccinated ourselves into. So, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. just started at HHS. Are we surprised there's a measles outbreak right now? No. Okay. Did you know that in 2019 in Oregon, there was a fake measles outbreak? Literally, a whistleblower found memos of the state of Oregon collaborating with a PR firm to fake a measles outbreak so they could pass legislation the next month to take vaccination rights away from parents. Do you know they used the same playbook in California? Back in 2014, we had a measles outbreak in Disneyland, and guess what happened in January 2015? A bill to take vaccination rights away from parents, and it passed. Ever since then, we have not had the right to make vaccine decisions for our children if they go to school in California. But nobody would ever fake a measles outbreak, right? They certainly wouldn't do it for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. getting into office. So obviously there's a measles outbreak in Texas, including one death. The Texas Department of Public Health is not answering questions about the status of the girl who died. All we know is she was Mennonite, she was sick, and her parents took her to the hospital. Kennedy was forced to put out a statement about measles vaccination that didn't sound like any of his prior writing. Based on that piece, people started to question whether or not he's been so compromised that the Make America Healthy Again movement might not succeed. One thing we know for sure is that the ritual shaming of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has certainly begun. In fact, I ran his Fox News statement about the Texas measles cases through Grok AI. Grok told me that maybe 20% of what was in that article was somewhat similar to previous writings of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. What is true, though, is that the measles vaccine has actually created a systems problem. No longer do mothers pass measles antibodies that they had acquired naturally under their babies. Nope. Antibodies that mothers make to measles after vaccination do not get passed along to a baby, leaving young babies vulnerable. Before the measles vaccine, children would have been protected as long as they were breastfeeding. Another problem we created sounds a lot like the COVID vaccination campaign. Remember that Fauci said if we got one COVID vaccine, it would all be over? They told people the exact same thing about the measles vaccine, but it wasn't true. There's something called primary vaccine failure. That means that 10% of people who get the measles vaccine, no matter how many times you give it to them, will never develop antibodies to measles. Secondary vaccine failure is when a vaccine wears off. And that starts to happen when somebody's in their teenage years. So what are we doing? If we're saying that we need 95% of people to be vaccinated to get herd immunity, but 10% of people will never make the antibodies, and the antibodies wear off by the time somebody's a teenager, we've created a vaccination quagmire for ourselves, haven't we?
Yep.
And then you look at our vaccine injury reporting system. There have been 90,000 reports of adverse events after the measles vaccine in 40 years. There have been an average of 11 deaths per year after the measles vaccine reported to our tracking system. Any medical intervention is always a cost-benefit equation. How many people injured and disabled by the measles vaccine is it worth it to try to achieve a mythical herd immunity? And herd immunity is not what we think it is. Most people hear the term herd immunity and we immediately think, oh, herd immunity, we can eradicate a disease. But you know where herd immunity came from? Animal herds. In an animal herd, an infection would go through the herd and then it wouldn't come back again until 3 years later. When the young animals were done breastfeeding, they would get that infection and they become immune, and that's called herd immunity. It's not eradication. So again, we've vaccinated ourselves into a quagmire with this measles vaccine because we've left our young babies vulnerable without it. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is now at HHS, which is amazing. And I think he will be successful. I think he's going to be successful. He wants to have radical transparency, and we need more transparency in our vaccination program than less if we're going to figure this out, right? So I'm celebrating, and another reason I'm celebrating is that we are going to have a Make America Healthy Again celebration on Mother's Day weekend here in Silicon Valley. And I would like all of you to come. And we're going to be featuring Del Bigtree of the Highwire as our main speaker. And Jane Kearney has an incredible announcement for you also. Del might be coming here as well that same weekend. So with that, I just want to say I'm Alix Meyer with Free Now Foundation, and we fight in the courts to get vaccination rights back for parents. We want to make sure that parents in California are always calling the shots. So please come celebrate with us May 10th with Del Bigtree.